Welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to be continuing on with our core data tutorial series, and in this particular tutorial we are going to be taking a look at how we can use an NSPredicate in our UIKit / AppKit based projects to filter our results from a fetch request. In the previous video, we took a look at how we can do this in SwiftUI. I could have put both of these together in one video, but I didn't want the video to get too long, so I chose to split them up into their own video. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that I want you to do is I want you to add a UI search controller to your to your navigation controller. And what we're going to use that for is we're going to be able to search through our project or to-do lists in this case, not projects like we had in SwiftUI, but to-do lists as we type. All right. So what we need to do, what we need to do here is we need to first understand how a predicate exactly works. And then we also need to understand the concept of predicate format strings. So let's first cover what a predicate even is. Well, a predicate, in this case NSPredicate, is a type of object that allows us to tell core data we only want records, right? We only want objects that meet a given criteria. So let's say you only want active projects, or you want incomplete tasks, or something like that. Or you want to make sure that the name of, say, a to-do list or to-do item matches a search term or contains a search term, you can do that as well with a predicate. The search example and active projects or completed or incomplete tasks, stuff like that, those are very common examples of how we use predicates. Now, there are ways that we can combine multiple predicates together using what's called a compound predicate. But we'll take a look at compound predicates in another video. For now, we're just going to cover singular predicates. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Inside of my data controller, I have our get all to-do lists method, and we're going to modify this slightly to use a predicate. Let's go ahead and go up to the method signature first, and we'll change that slightly. So get all to-do lists, and then you'll want, as a parameter, we're going to take in a search term. And this is going to be a string. And there we go. Now, where we construct our request, I'm going to do this beneath our sort descriptors. The first thing we want to do is we want to assign a predicate only if the search term isn't empty. So if there is a search term, we want a predicate to be applied. If not, don't apply a predicate. So we can do this by saying if search term dot is empty. And inside of this if statement, we will say request dot predicate equals NSPredicate with a format, and this is going to be a string. Now, from here, let's talk a little bit about what a format string is. Well, the format string is what the NSPredicate object is going to use to tell core data, to tell your fetch request, find and return only the objects that meet this criteria. Now, there is a retired Apple developer documentation document called the Predicate Programming Guide. And this pretty much goes in depth into everything you need to know about predicates. The specific document, part of the document that I have linked in the description, talks about format strings and the different operators and placeholder wildcards and stuff like that you can work with in your format strings to make your predicates work exactly how you want them to work. Now, the reason why this document is retired is because it doesn't use Swift for its code samples. It will use Objective-C for its samples. The topic itself is still very, very much relevant, but the code samples are not. So they are. So again, that's why this document is retired. It's not using Swift, but Objective-C. The format strings do not change depending on what language you're using. So you don't have to worry about that. It's just the actual way the code is written is going to be different. So you have to kind of train yourself to translate from Objective-C to Swift. All right. Now, the specific operator that we're going to be using here is the contains operator. This will be used to say, hey, does our to-do list title, does the title of our to-do list contain whatever our search term is? And then we can pass in that search term or inject that search term into our format string by using what's called a placeholder. And this placeholder that we're going to use is %at. So the % sign and then the at sign. There are other placeholders like %d and %f. %d meaning digit and %f for floating point, respectively. There are other ones that you can work with, but %d, %f, and %at are perhaps the most common ones that you will see. All right, so let's go ahead and compose our predicate. Inside the format string, we are going to say title, which is the name of the attribute we want to compare to, right? So our to-do list title attribute contains. Now, the operators here are not case sensitive, so you can do it uppercase or lowercase and it won't particularly matter. It will parse it all the same anyway. So title contains %at. All right, so now that we've done that, how do we reference the value that we want to inject into the predicate format string? Well, we do that by passing any number of parameters to the NSPredicate initializer. It uses a concept in Swift called variadic parameters. So you can have as many as you need, depending on how many placeholders you have in your predicate string there. In this case, we have 1, so we only need to pass in 1 additional value. And we can do that by saying comma, and then for our second parameter, it will be search term. So now, in effect, this predicate is telling core data to fetch only the objects, only the to-do lists, whose title contains whatever our search term is. All right, cool. And that's that. That's all we need to do for our predicate. Let's go ahead and make sure that our update search results method for our search controller is properly populated. So for our view controller class here, I'm going to change the code here slightly. Alright. We'll set the to-do lists equal to data controller dot. Well, okay, so what we need to do here first, I guess, is equals. We'll make that an empty array for now. And then what we'll do here is we will go into our configure method and we'll say to do lists self dot okay. Okay, if Xcode would cooperate with me, that'd be fantastic. We want... Okay. To-do lists. To-do lists equals data controller dot. Okay, you are being uncooperative today, Xcode. Let's see. Okay. Okay, let's try that again here. All right. There we go. To-do lists equals data controller get all to-do lists. There we go. All right. So I'm going to cut this. All right. And before our constraints, we'll paste that in there. And we'll say guard let text equals search controller dot search bar dot text else Oh, excuse me. We can try if let text equals search controller dot search bar dot text. We can then just paste that in there. It's not a huge deal. All right, and then we'll pass text in like that. Okay. Now, where is that error happening? All right. Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of this for loop here. There we go. Okay. Now we don't have to worry about that. Perfect. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to find that delegate method here. Inside of extensions. Okay, so it's not in extensions. Okay, so then where would it be? Okay, so I guess it's just in the view controller class here. Okay, yep, there it is. Update search results. And then in here, all we're going to do is we're going to say to-do lists. I guess before we do anything is we'll say guard let text equals search controller dot search bar text else return to-do lists equals data controller dot get all to-do lists with text like that. So that way everything is all updated and ready to go. But we also need to say table view dot reload data. And there we go. Let's go ahead and run our code here. Well, I'm going to go into the toolbar. Okay, yeah, we should be okay. The Mac is what we're going to run this on, just so you can see what it looks like, and I can actually control it a little bit easier. There we go. We have a successful build. And here we go. Here's our application. You can see all of our to-do list items and to-do lists and all that. So let's go ahead and search for something now. Let's say we want to find any to-do list with the number 1 inside. Now that that is typed in, our results should have updated. To-do list 1, and that's it. That's the only one we see, because that is the only to-do list with a 1 in the name. Right? What if we say 3? Now we only see a to-do list 3. Now if we remove all of our text, you can see now we have everything back. We can even hit the clear text button. And you can see again we have everything that we need again. What if we type in something that doesn't match any of our to-do list names, right? So we could say something like grocery list, maybe. Well, now our table is empty because we don't have anything that contains or is that title. We can then again say clear text, and all of our to-do lists come back. All right, so that is how we can apply a predicate to our fetch requests in core data in our UIKit/AppKit based applications. Thank you all so very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.